Right. Well, what we do know in the big picture is in 2015, UFC paid roughly 13% of revenue to fighters. That was roughly $80 million in 2015. In 2016, they paid 17% of revenue, and that was the first year that WME was involved. But I'm not crediting WME with raising fighter salary. A large part of that was due to Conor and Ronda fighting so much and getting pay-per-view points.
Hmm.
And 17% in 2016 is roughly 120 million
Wow.
dollars. Now, you just said whoa on 120 million. That shows in 2016 how you cannot go by AC reports as far as pay goes. What AC reports are what the AC puts in escrow. So Nevada State Athletic Commission for 2000 for 229,
Yeah.
and what they can fine a fighter with, and what that fighter has to get paid. There are a lot of different ways fighters get paid. A fighter can get paid by signing bonuses. If you remember, like 3 years ago, Nate Diaz was getting 2020, which
Yep.
was less than he was getting 2 years prior to that. That was because Nate Diaz signed to UFC again. He did another contract where he got signed with a big signing bonus because he supposedly owed the government taxes.
Okay.
So if you're, and I don't know the amount he was given up front, but if you're given 200,000 up front, and that's just a number I'm saying, I'm not
Yep.
saying Nate Diaz got that because I'll get Nate Diaz smacking me in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't
Um,
want Nate Diaz on your door.
okay, so let's get Nate Diaz out of it. Let's say fighter X,
Yeah.
who I can take in a fight. Let's say he's a
Yeah.
male.
Yeah.
He might get $20,000 a fight. Now, as far as A3 reports go, you see that all the time with Bellator. When a fighter leaves UFC for Bellator, UFC has the right contractually to match what Bellator is offering and keep that fighter. If the fighter doesn't want to go back to UFC with the matching offer, they have to sit out a year. We haven't seen that. So you
Hmm.
take a fighter like Henderson, Benson Henderson.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll see his athletic commission pay for less than what he made from UFC, and people going, "Oh, see, Bellator doesn't pay more." No, that's what he's getting paid per fight according to the athletic commission. You don't know what he got paid as a signing bonus. You don't know if he's getting paid appearance fees, which could
Right.
be for the press leading up to it. So AC reports, you really can't judge by that. Because, like I said, in 2016, UFC paid $120 million. And how much Tony Ferguson got? Tony Ferguson's deal made no sense because he only got $5,000 win bonus. So you don't know. Now, did he get pay-per-view points? I severely doubt that.
Right.
But you don't know what he wound up with. He could have got an upfront fee to sign. There's so many different ways that fighters get paid these days. It's tough. It's tough to grasp. I mean, there's no chance Khabib made $2 million
And
for a fight.
so,
But
so you said you gave that number in 2016. Do we know what the value, how much are fighters getting paid in percentage, and the full amount in, let's say, 2017?
glad you asked that. 2017 is skewed because of a little known fight called Maymac. Sorry,
Haha. Yeah.
Maymac. Um, in the books for 2017, it includes the money UFC got and the money UFC paid Conor. So that's going to throw everything out the window because
Right.
that's such an anomaly. So you can't count that as MMA. You can't count that really. The big test will be about 6 months, in about a year from now, and when we can judge 2018. And
Okay.
also 2018 will be interesting because that'll be the last year before the Fox deal came into effect. So
Right. Yes.
roughly what we know is UFC in the past years that we know pay roughly 13 to 17% of their total revenue. That's not profit. Their profit they pay about a third of. Now, is that good? No. They can certainly pay more. They can certainly pay a lot more, especially for the damage that these fighters take. So
Right. Yeah.
I mean that's something fighters and their management have to work out.
To compensate for that value.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: they don't seem to want to form a union. And if you want to get in on that briefly, I can give you my opinion on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get because unions have been formed previously. I know. Just last year, or even 2 years ago, we had that union, the Fighters Union, that involved Cain Velasquez, Donald Cerrone, T.J. Dillashaw, and there was a bunch of buzz in the beginning, and it kind of they all kind of fizzle out. And so does that? How much legitimacy do these unions have? We keep seeing them come up.
Right now, none of them have any legitimacy.
Exactly.
None of them are a union. I can get into things that I've heard personally. A lot of people didn't. They thought the Bajon Rebney led union, which is the one that had GSP, Kane, Quinta, T.J. Dillashaw,
Yep.
and Cerrone behind it. A lot of people felt that once they read it more into that. Now this is them talking, not me. That they felt Bjorn was more spiteful towards UFC than being pro fighter.
Gotcha.
With Leslie Smith, she was always the one that seemed level-headed. Leslie Smith could not get 30% of contracted UFC fighters to sign an anonymous card to look into whether or not fighters are independent contractors or not. If you can't get 30% to sign a card to look into the possibility of a union, the
then
chance
there's no
of
hope.
a union. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, like the percentage you'd have to get to, if you get that far to vote a union. If it's
Right.
51 or if it's higher, like 75 or something. I apologize, I don't know that because I'm not a union guy. But
it's got to be higher than 30%.
well, yeah, and they're not even getting 30%. Now people can say it's because they don't like Leslie Smith, they like Leslie Smith, or they're afraid. Whatever the reason is, they're not getting the support. You still should want to get the most information possible. You can still vote no for a union and vote her out of office down the road. I think the big reason that UFC fighters are having trouble unionizing is because most fighters are not US based and they're from countries where unions are not as known and they're not as respected, and they don't want what they would consider somebody else into their business, if you know what I'm trying to say.